Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our English news edition brought to you by Canal Algérie. First, to the headlines. Algeria expresses its full readiness to accompany Mali on the basis of dialogue to end the crisis and meet the Malian people's legitimate aspirations. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, congratulates the Algerian people on the new Amazigh New Year, celebrated through the national territory. The Algerian national football team kicks off the African Cup of Nations tournament with a goalless draw with Sierra Leone, and the President of the Republic expresses his support for the Desert Warriors in this competition. Good evening, those were today's headlines. First in our news, in a communique released by the Presidency of the Republic, reacted to the situation in Mali, and I quote, in his capacity as leader of the international mediation and as chairman of the follow-up committee of the Peace and Reconciliation Agreement stemming from the Algiers process, and also as a neighboring country, sharing both a long border and a long history of good neighborliness with Mali, and on the occasion of its recent interactions with the Malian authorities, while warning against the political, security and economic consequences that any long transition could result with. And as predicted by the Malian side, Algeria pleaded for a calm and realistic dialogue with the economic community of West African states, with a view to find a permanent solution for the crisis, a crisis which takes into account the international demands and legitimate aspirations of the Malian people, as well as internal factors related to Mali. For his part, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, who granted an audience on January 6th to a high-level Malian delegation, and during which he stressed on the Malian transition authorities to make the year 2022 a year of the establishment of a unifying and consensual Malian constitutional order, with the objective of enshrining the achievements and recommendations of the Peace and Reconciliation Agreement emanating from the Algiers process. President Abdelmajid Tebboune also emphasized the need for an inclusive approach to meet the complexity of structural problems and the challenges that Mali must face, including the fight against terrorism, which is a factor that justifies the transition period of a duration of 12 to 16 months. The President of the Republic reiterated Algeria's unwavering commitment to the sovereignty and unity of the Malian people, and backed the transition leaders to adopt a responsible and constructive attitude and behavior in view of the serious risks and hardships posted by the sanctions announced by the extraordinary summit of the Economic Community of West African States heads on January 9th, as well as the countermeasures announced by the government of the Republic of Mali. Algeria calls on all parties to exercise restraint and re-engage in dialogue in order to avoid a spiral of tension and an exacerbation of the crisis in the region. Under the framework of promoting African solutions to African problems, Algeria expresses its full readiness to actively accompany Mali and the economic community of West African states in their path of mutual agreement on a vision of solidarity that would safeguard the high interests of the brotherly Malian people. End of quote. In a tweet and on the occasion of the new Amazigh year of 2972, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, wished prosperity, progress and good health to all Algerians, both men and women. Yinair, the new Amazigh year, a national holiday and an event that unites all Algerians, whatever the traditions and rituals of celebrations. The symbolism remains the same. More in this report by Ines Kello.
On January 12th of each year, Yinair, or the Amazigh New Year, is celebrated throughout the country. The date corresponds to the Gregorian calendar. Yinair brings together the Algerian people in a colorful picture, retracing the richness, the traditions and the cultural diversity of all Algeria. The celebration of Yinair fits the historical reference and the sense of belonging to the Algerian nation, a unified country according to officials of the High Amazigh Commission, which celebrates in great pomp this holiday.
Yinair is a pleasant festival which is in its temporal aspect, it's unforgettable. In its territorial or spatial aspect, it is a festival which is deeply rooted in the African soil. We are already in the concept of the federation. Yinair is something that celebrates the earth, the solidarity and the fertility.
In this new year of Yinair 2972, and as in each year, the Algerians very attached to their culture will meet around a table furnished with traditional meals, and each region emphasizes its ancestral traditions and will celebrate this prosperous and generous new year on its own.
The welcoming of the new year takes place in happiness, in the hope of prosperity and a good year.
This tradition is a national day throughout the country, crowning the efforts made by the state to promote the Amazigh culture and language, important component of the Algerian identity.
A study day was organized to celebrate the new Amazigh year, Yinair, at the Isa Masoudi Cultural Center of the Algerian Radio. The meeting brought together a panel of anthropologists, researchers and academics. More details in this report with Mesa Dumas.
On the occasion of the Amazigh New Year, Yinair, researchers and anthropologists held a meeting at Isa Masoudi Cultural Center. This meeting was initiated by Channel 2 of the Algerian National Radio, addressed to the different aspects of this holiday celebrated by all families across Algeria.
Yinair is also known for being an agricultural calendar because Amazigh people are farmers and lovers of farming, and this calendar helps them to determine their harvest schedule season.
The preservation of our ancestral traditions to pass them on the new generations is the slogan of this study day.
This Amazigh New Year is widely celebrated in North Africa, namely in Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco and Algeria.
Local products and traditional clothes were displayed at the Isa Masoudi Cultural Center, and a musical show is hosted under the motto Thamghran Yinair, bringing together a host of artists, including Samir Al-Asimi.
In his capacity as Special Envoy of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community abroad, Ramtan Al-Amamra, arrived on Tuesday to the Saudi capital Riyadh for a working visit. This visit is a part of the implementation of the President of the Republic's guidelines and those of the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, a visit which is part of the embodiment of the efforts made by the two countries to strengthen the ties of brotherhood and cooperation, as well as the consolidation of consultation and coordination on issues of common interest, including the development of the situation in the Arab world. This visit also aims to ensure the proper preparation for the upcoming Arab events. The Algerian national football team kicked off the African Cup of Nations tournament with a goalless draw with Sierra Leone in the game held on Tuesday in Douala, Cameroon. Following this draw, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, showed his full support to the champions of Africa, wishing them all the best. For his part, the Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Lieutenant General Saeed Shingreha, extended his support to the national team by wishing them all the best as well. The national manager, Jamal Belmadi, is aware of the situation and is preparing his squad for the upcoming game versus Equatorial Guinea.
The weather conditions were not favorable for our players who are not accustomed to such temperature. Nevertheless, we have to cope with the circumstances and to start preparing for the next game. Today's match was very beneficial to assess the situation. We have to assume our responsibility to get ready to Equatorial Guinea starting from this Wednesday and then Côte d'Ivoire. We try to maintain our unbeaten run so far. A draw is better than a defeat. We have to work hard and win the next games.
The Minister of Justice, Abdelrashid Tabbi, presented on Tuesday to the National People's Assembly a draft organic bill on the powers, organization and functioning of the State's Council. During a plenary session chaired by Ibrahim Boughali, President of the National People's Assembly, Abdelrashid Tabbi explained that the project is part of the adaptation of legal texts relating to administrative issues to the constitutional provisions by taking into account practice. This project includes 5 amendments related to the revision of the State Council competences. The Minister of National Education affirmed on Monday in Jilfa province that primary education is a priority in the elaboration of the status, in accordance with the guidelines of the President of the Republic. Abdelkarim Belabed was speaking on the sidelines of his working and inspection visit to the province of Jilfa, where he inaugurated a school bearing the name of the martyr Slimani Rabah, as well as a high school named after the martyr Abdeslam Hussein bin Abdel Baqi.
There are great efforts concerning the promotion of primary education, and the educator will have a greater status, meaning he will be relieved of several tasks that he is currently responsible for accomplishing. We are operating in accordance with the guidelines of the President of the Republic, who works hard to promote the Algerian school. For your part, you must make more effort to achieve this objective.
On promoting knowledge, the Arabic language and moderate Islam in Africa is the contribution of Algerian scholars who constructed zawiyas in the sub-Saharan cities that date back to more than 5 centuries. This was the case of Sheikh Abdelkarim El-Mghili, who stayed in the Nigerian city of Kano. More details with Manal Amari.
In the Nigerian city of Kano, the Algerian zawis of Sheikh Abdelkarim El-Maghili, dating back to 5 centuries, testify to the notoriety of Algerian scholars who contributed to the influence of Islam in Africa. This renowned scholar propagated Islam knowledge and taught the Arabic language when he stayed in the Finesco district.
During his stay in the Finesco district, Sheikh Abdelkarim El-Maghili engaged in a tireless fight against all the social scourges that were common at the time. Sheikh Abdelkarim El-Maghili has about 6,000 descendants in the city of Kano, as well as numerous followers.
The Qadiriya School's library always kept the works and manuscripts of Algerian scholars. The descendants of this famous scholar never hesitated to make the trip so as to discover all these valuable resources.
This delegation is made up of descendants of Sheikh Abdelkarim El-Maghili, who followed in the footsteps of their ancestor. We express our admiration for Algerian scholars who follow the true teachings and values of Islam, particularly Sheikh El-Maghili, who advocated the principles of the Qadiriya Brotherhood and a moderate Islam.
The followers of the great thinker Sheikh Abdelkarim El-Maghili draw their strength from the true values of Islam, which is also the case for his descendants, who are always attached to Algeria.
Moving on to the international scene, the former United Nations envoy to Western Sahara, Christopher Ross, called on the United States to give the new personal envoy Stéphane de Mistura a border mandate similar to the one James Baker worked with from 1997 until 2004. For Ross, the United States should convince Morocco to negotiate without preconditions. Furthermore, and on the sidelines of a webinar, the president of the U.S. Western Sahara Foundation, Suzanne Schultz, urged the U.S. government to recognize the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic and to call on Morocco to end the illegal occupation of the Sahrawi territories. On the ground, the military operations continue along the Wall of Shame in Western Sahara, where units of the Sahrawi Liberation Army carried out intense attacks against the units of the Moroccan occupying forces in the regions of Hawza, Al-Mahbas and Awrsid. A popular rally against the normalization was held in Gaza, Palestine, against the normalization process initiated by some Arab countries, which they considered as a betrayal to their fair cause. The province of Boumerdès hosted this year the National Festival of Traditional Couscous, a traditional dish in Algeria and considered as a culinary heritage. The event witnessed the participation of numerous citizens from different provinces. The details in this report with Melissa Kabash.
One of Algeria's famous dishes, considered as a symbol of conviviality, sharing and prosperity. Couscous, a culinary heritage that was celebrated through a fourth edition of the National Festival of Traditional Couscous.
I came all the way from Constantine province to present the traditional couscous of our region. We call it mhawar. It is prepared with a white sauce, and I added my own touch.
I participated by preparing the sifa, a couscous that is most often served in weddings. We hope that this dish wins a national and international prize.
Famous chefs were present at this event as juries in the best couscous competition.
The festival presents the different recipes and secrets of this emblematic dish.
We decided this year to organize this festival in the province of Boumerdès, where we welcomed a good number of visitors. As you know, this dish is very appreciated by Algerians.
Couscous in all its variety remains one of the most popular dishes in Algeria. This traditional dish that brings families together was officially listed on December 2020 as a World Humanity Heritage.
The Rais Palace, Bastion 23 here in Algiers, is hosting an exhibition where the province of Gherdaya and the region of Shenwa are in the spotlight. The participants highlighted through their works, their traditions and crafts, and overall the specificities of their regions for the Yinair celebration. More with Laetitia Stqawi.
At the Rais Palace, Bastion 23, all the diversity and richness of the Amazigh heritage and ancestral Algerian traditions perpetuated from generation to generation were highlighted. As part of the festivities marking the celebration of the Amazigh New Year, each region has its specificities.
I came from Gherdaya with these artistic works. Each painting tells the story of this city. The first objective is to preserve our legacy. The Yinair festival is celebrated throughout the national territory with specific features of each region. Algeria and our shared history with its men and youth unites all of us. We need to know our legacy and to protect it. This year, we decided to host in coordination with the Directorate of Culture and Arts of Gherdaya, the people of Gherdaya, their traditions and habits, and traditional dishes.
The Amazigh New Year, a great opportunity to discover the costumes and traditions of each region, a festival with the historical and cultural dimensions that is an important part of the Algerian identity.
That was it for today's news. Thank you for joining us, and goodbye.